I probably never would have come to Brevard County if it wasn't for my teacher, Her Holiness Ma Yoga Shakti Saraswati. I lived at the ashram in Palm Bay of my teacher as I organized this World Religions Conference that Larry talks about. But that was after many, many years of organizing events. And my first trip to India was because I was organizing a holistic medical conference out of my sheer frustration for the state of medicine in this country. I remember going to the Fetzer Foundation and being absolutely disgusted with what people called holistic medicine, which was just one fringe complementary technique. And that the best conversations that took place were really in the coffee shop. And I ended up having a conversation with who I later found out was a very famous doctor, a young doctor, Isaac Matai, who was from India. He thought I was Dr. Robert Mueller's daughter, and I thought he was someone else. And we started talking and writing on napkins, and then Dr. Mueller came, and this other person came, and we realized that we weren't who we thought we were. And it became a source of real joy for us because we felt that Spirit brought us together to organize this conference, that a year later, we were in India and we had a conference for 750 medical doctors that included His Holiness the Dalai Lama, would have included Mother Teresa, but she was sick, and had all of these different medical practitioners from different lineages of medicine, from the Far East and from native, herbal, and homeopathic and natural medicine. And so much came out of that conference for me. Dancing with Dr. Weil before he was famous, and hanging out with Deepak Chopra before that was a common name. And this was a long time ago. And so taking a cab ride with Joan Borisenko and just, really getting my, wings in what would later become the field today of holistic medicine. And I helped to found the first international conference on holistic health and medicine and the organization itself. And at that time, I was the clinical director of the child protection team of Palm Beach County. And I was a jaded 20-something kid. And I found unity at that time, which then led me to Mataji and also led me to a Buddhist teacher from Cambodia. And I have been on a spiritual journey of great focus for the last 25 years. And so I stand before you very surprised that a year ago, almost to the date, I was at Findhorn. And the story of Findhorn, I want to tell you my relationship to Findhorn and then tell you about Findhorn. Has anyone here been to Findhorn besides my friend Shama, who came? And she's been to Findhorn. She's the director of the ashram that I used to live at. Welcome, Shama. I'm glad you're here. And so anybody else been to Findhorn? Anyone heard of Findhorn before? Okay, good. So let me just tell you my relationship to Findhorn, and then I'll tell you about Findhorn. And I first heard about Findhorn around the same time that I count as my confusing, chaotic time in my 20s, where I was married to an undercover detective and working for the child protection team. And there couldn't have been two more jaded human beings than us, just seeing way too much suffering in the world. And I met a teacher by the name of Bob Miller, or Golden Eagle Bear. And he had spent a lot of time at this place called Findhorn, a spiritual community in northern Scotland. And he had brought into my awareness some of the teachings of Findhorn, which I have later found came from the Rosicrucian teachings. Because the founder of Findhorn, one of the three co-founders, Peter Caddy, was a colleague, a friend, and a teacher of Bob Miller's. And he and Bob Miller had studied the Rosicrucian teachings. And one foundation teaching that they passed on to me that has been a teaching for me to hold on to my whole life is this. love what you are doing. Love the people you are with, and love the place you live. When I met Bob Miller, I was at Unity of the Palm Beaches for the first time. And I was invited to participate in a silent meditation group. I didn't know much about meditating. And I didn't think I could do one more thing in my life. So I remember saying to my friend, I'm not doing one more thing. And she said, just come. This is not something you do. This is something that does you. Just come and hang out with us. And if you don't like it, you don't have to come back. And so I found myself being part of a meditation group that lasted for 3 years. That included hairdressers, Franciscan monks, Native American elders, ordinary people from all walks of life, all traditions, cultures, and races. And we would just sit together silently. I tell people I'm a non-deist or I'm an atheist, right? I don't believe in that God in the sky. I don't believe in a theistic, embodied God. But I believe in God, that German word for good. I believe in a universal force of goodness in this world. It speaks to me at night and wakes me up, and it gives me the courage to do the work that I'm called to do in this life. And I was raised Catholic, and the nuns taught me to garden. The nuns across the street in a cloistered convent, they taught me that you can feel God, you can feel energy, you can feel love in the garden. And if you have love and you bring it into the garden, it'll love you back. It'll give you what you need to eat, and it'll give you beauty to behold. So from a very young age, the nuns across the street from me taught me universal spiritual principles about loving the place I live, the plants, the animals, the trees, and sharing the energy that I cultivate in the garden to heal other people. Actually, when I was a little girl, the nuns would take me to the nursing home, and they would say, lay your hands on these people and pray for them, and they'll get better. Can you imagine having a little 6-year-old come up to you and put their hands on you and close their eyes? You'd get better, right? And the naturalness with which they taught me these things have stayed with me forever. Of course it's healing to lay your loving hands on people. Of course it's healing to go into the earth and make things grow. So when I heard about this place called Findhorn, I was naturally interested. But at that time in my life, in my 20s, it wasn't even a concept for me that I could just get on a plane and go to Scotland. And so it was just this idea, these seeds that had been planted in my mind of a place far away. The Findhorn community actually was a seed that was sown in the 1950s by a people that went to northern Scotland to run a hotel that turned a hotel into a 4-star hotel just by the sheer source of their will and guidance spiritually. And then when things fell apart at the hotel, they were guided, these 3 unusual people who probably for lifetimes had been spiritually trained for this assignment, to go to the rockiest, thorniest, most unlikely place to grow a garden, northern Scotland, and plant some seeds for a spiritual community to grow. Peter Caddy was in the Royal Air Force before he became the manager of this 5-star, 4-star, I don't know how many stars, but very famous hotel, Cluny Hill, in the Northern Hebrides. He was married to someone else when he first met, who would be his lifelong spiritual partner, Eileen Caddy, who's very famous for her ability to express her guidance that comes to her through her prayer and meditation time. This book, Opening Doors Within, has been in continuous print for 20 years. And it's a daily meditation that's perennial. My Unity ministers that I first met, who had been Unity ministers for 45 years when I met them, used this for years. And I've been using it for 20 years, almost as long as it's been printed, and it still gives me inspiration. There's a lot of information here on this for you to look at. Pictures of Findhorn, information about the Findhorn garden and cooperating with nature. This is my personal favorite because I met Peter Caddy and I loved him very much. This is his story. There's also a great book about connecting people, the environment, and spirituality from the Schumacher conferences, which take place at Findhorn. And this is a calendar of my photographs, which a friend of mine made. My photographs of the flowers of Findhorn are really vibrant. And this is another calendar of those pictures with poetry. And there's something about the flowers at Findhorn. I have never seen any trees or flowers with more vitality than the ones that I saw there. And I think you catch a glimpse of it in my photographs that I took with like a throwaway Kodak camera. I'm not a photographer.